So do you guys know the story of the first time they voted on the Hall of Fame?
Tell me.
So everybody got together and they said, all right, we're gonna build this big museum. It's gonna be up in upstate New York, and everyone's gonna want to go there. They're all gonna want to summer there. They used the word summer as a verb back then.
It
It was
still
the
is
olden
for
days. It was the
Windows.
days of it was actually it wasn't black and white anymore. It was sepia toned. They'd moved on to sepia tone. And they all got together to vote on who should be in the Hall of Fame, and they didn't vote anybody in. Um, so that's kind of
Journalist history.
what,
Journalism history.
There we
yeah.
go.
And basically, since then, the Hall of Fame has not really changed at all from that ethos of being as difficult as possible. Um, I don't know. Is that would
It's a
you guys
good thing.
agree?
I think
Uh,
it's a good thing because I don't really follow like NFL or NBA too hard. I watch casually. But from my understanding is that their Hall of Fames are kind of a joke. Like you can get in pretty easily. And I think that's kind of what makes the Baseball Hall of Fame kind of really beautiful is that it's a real big deal. And there's also a lot, over 120 years of history in the baseball, over 150, probably 150 years of history in the Baseball Hall of Fame. And it's definitely the best Hall of Fame in
Definitely.
sports
Yeah.
for
I
sure.
mean, I don't know.
I'll
They have some parts of it though that kind of like the Veterans Committee and whatnot.
well, the
You don't
Veterans
like
Committee.
that? Is there, you
Well,
don't like,
I mean, if we're talking about hard to get into, and
Yeah,
but
then
there
still, you
was
just look at the numbers though, like still way less
like
people are getting
generally,
in.
yeah, I suppose so. But you're right though; it is by far the best one.
Yeah, I will say the NBA is harder to get into than people think. Like they always pick up like, oh, Christian Leitner, but he was on the dream team, and it would be like old school guys that kind of got in for
Is
college, but
Melo a Hall of Famer? Like, I don't really
he'll
know
be he
about
will
the
be,
NBA.
yes, he
He
will
will
be.
be.
I
Okay.
But
don't know enough about the NBA guide or basketball guidelines, like how long
Neither do I.
time.
yeah,
But I
but
feel
yeah,
like any guy that you could just name that's a superstar in the era will probably be a Hall of
But
Famer.
I will say though that like when it comes to the Baseball Hall of Fame, like you go on ESPN and now in the year 2023, almost 2024, like ESPN does not care about baseball. But if you watch ESPN, I've never heard anything on ESPN about the Football Hall of Fame, the Basketball Hall of Fame, any Hall of Fame, but they always cover the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's your point.
Yeah, they always dust off old guys to drop Hall of Fame takes. It's a time honored tradition. I think the Hall of Fame. It's stupid, but I think we all
No, it's not.
care
I
about
love
it
it.
just because it's more fun to care about it than not to.
I
Because
agree with that.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
have
ultimately
both of
it's
y'all
ultimately
been?
great.
To
And
Cooperstown,
well,
I have.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
It's a great museum. It's
oh
really
yeah,
great.
great place.
The
Well,
It's the
plaque is
farthest.
crazy. It's
I was there
impressive.
like 2018. It was the year that Jeff Bagwell and Vladdy got in, and or not Vladdy, Tim Raines. And I was just walking through the halls, just looking at all the exhibits, and Jeff Bagwell's just chilling in the like plaque room, just doing an interview with MLB Network, and I'm just hanging out there waiting for it to end, and then he signs all our stuff and whatnot. Like he couldn't have been more like graceful, whatever, humble.
How was
And
his goatee?
oh, it was popping off. It was
Okay.
very fine.
What did his calves look like? I'm guessing you
He
got like
had
some
he had
balance in there.
jeans on, but I could tell that those jeans were fighting for their lives. It was tough. But he
uh,
signs my ticket because I had nothing else for him to sign, and immediately after he hands it to me, I accidentally smudge it.
oh
And
my God.
like I can never come here again. I've
Those are the stories that you get from the Hall of Fame. And these are going to be our ballots. We've all listed out our guys, 1 through 10 in my case. I'm not sure how many you guys can vote for. Just for listeners who may not, have the Hall of Fame rules, uh, kept in the top of their heads. So Hall of Fame ballot, every player who played at least 10 years in the league makes it onto the ballot. They don't get on the ballot until 5 years after they retire. Once they get on, they have 10 years to get in. If they fall below 5% at any point, they go off the ballot. If they go above 75%, they're elected into the Hall of Fame. These are the Baseball Writers of America. You have to write about baseball for like 10 years, and then you get to vote. And then you have guys who have already written, and now they're in retirement. And now they are just kind of drifting off into old age, and they're still spitting out their takes and their votes every year. That's how you get some of the more entertaining ballots. You know, you'll see one guy vote for like I don't know, Craig Counsell out
Harold
of
Baines.
Yep. Yeah, you know, it's all part of the rich tapestry. But you know, there are the past decade or so has been, I think we're nearing the end of the steroid era on this ballot. Would you guys agree?
Yeah, I think they're only like it's like three or at least three names, no more than
Yeah.
like 10 names that are still part of that.
It is
General.
unfortunate. Oh yeah. It is
Well, I was
unfortunate
thinking that
though.
isn't even on the ballot yet, so we're not even close.
But I think he's just I think everyone's I don't know.
We got
I
ways
mean,
to go.
by then, that's one guy. It used to be
I
that
mean,
like every single big name that was on the ballot was a steroid guy, and I had to hear the same
I
exhausting
just would
conversations.
hope like the stigma ends soon enough. Like, hey, they just hit home runs, man. That was pretty cool. They
Yeah,
were good at baseball, and
well, we can get and we can get into what we think about these topics as we go through the players for sure. So we have our 10 names, and we're going to start with number one. So for those
Up to 10
listening,
names. Up to 10
up to
names.
10,
So
yes, up
did
to
you
10
guys
names. You
both
can
vote for
vote.
10
Yeah,
people?
I got.
Yeah,
You can.
I did.
Yeah.
You guys both voted for 10 people.
I mean, one of them wasn't really serious at all. That was the 10th one, so maybe
I
technically.
voted for 4
Yeah.
people.
You voted for 4 people.
4, yes.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm already excited for this. This is
yeah,
great.
me
This
too.
is great stuff. But yes, for those wondering, you can vote for up to 10 people. You can definitely vote for fewer. And so let's get into it. Our number one pick. So this guy is the guy that each of us will defend the hardest or is like most immovable. Like they are a Hall of Famer. And as we go down the list, we're going to get some more guys that there's wiggle room on. So do you guys want to say the number one? I think we all know it.
Yeah.
Producer Gordon, you can have the honor.
It is the one and only big game James Shields. Just kidding, just kidding. It's Adrian Beltre. Come on.
Yeah,
That
it's Trey. And this one I was trying to look around for numbers to use, and there's really just it's overwhelming.
3,000 hits, 90 WAR,
Yeah,
400 plus home runs. I mean, it's
the
just
defense, he does it all.
yeah,
He's
top
probably the
top
second
third
best
baseman.
defensive third baseman ever.
Mm-hmm. There's really no
think-
reason he shouldn't be in.
No, absolutely. I mean, 3,000 hits, it's over. I mean, he also has he didn't need the 400 home runs, but he has them.
He
I
hit all
think his
the
career is
50.
super interesting though because he's a guy who not only did his prime did not extend through his 30s. His prime started in his 30s.
Yeah.
Like he had one good year with the Dodgers, and he was kind of just like a solid contributor with Seattle and LA. And then it was, I think, age 31 with Boston that one year, and then Texas. He just became an elite player. And he really wasn't an elite player except for that one year with the Dodgers where he hit
Yeah,
48 home runs.
he was better than every player not named Barry Bonds that year.
That one year. But then took him until his age 31 season to really figure it out. And his career, and that's why he's going to go into the Hall of Fame with a Texas Rangers cap because that's where he made his impact on the game and got most of his hits, most of his home runs, most of his WAR, everything.
Yeah. Every year was like at least mid 850 OPS. Just everything else is just way above average, just elite across the board.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should be unanimous, hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, it
And it should
won't be,
also be
but
said he is one of the best baseball personalities there is.
Mhm.
If there's any justice, he won't have a cap at all. There'll be a hand trying to touch his head on the plaque, as he famously despises people touching his head. He once
yes, very famously.
he once was told to he once was told to what never mind, we can cut this. Beltre, great player. Number two, uh uh Allendorf, since you have the fewest, you go.
Well, it has to be Joe Mauer, in my opinion. I think as of recording this, I've seen 4 ballots revealed of people are sharing their ballots, and I think only 2 of them out of 4, obviously tiny sample size doesn't matter. But like 2 people didn't have Joe Mauer on their ballot so far that I saw it. I don't get it. I think it's I can't. There's no justification not to have Joe Mauer on your ballot. He's a just a Hall of Famer. He's a catcher with 2,000 hits and MVP. He was the best catcher in baseball for like an 8-year stretch. Like, I mean, he hit peaks at catcher that are just undeniable. And I mean, he still, he moved to first base, and but his longevity was still there with 2,000 hits, 55 career WAR. I don't see how you can't have Joe Mauer on the Hall of Famer.
I'm gonna say I'm not too moved by 2,000 hits.
As a
Or
catcher,
He is, yeah, I have him on the
yeah,
list
but
too.
that was
He
overall
is,
compared to everyone else.
I think the
Just
thing you got to
seeing
remember,
baseball player.
Mauer's career is he kind of has the Buster Posey thing going on where his body just kind of breaks down and he isn't the same player after age 30. But his prime is undeniably like one of the best offensive primes you've ever seen from a catcher. He wins the MVP. Like he's walking more than he strikes out. He's just a hit machine. Like these, yeah, these OPS plus numbers here, just 141, 114, 133, 170, 135, 99, 138, 143. And then after that, there's not much. But
just to be
yeah.
clear about the 2,000 hits, I use that as like a minimum requirement of
Uh,
longevity, not as a benchmark. And we'll get into like some other guys who didn't get 2,000 hits that I think might be on your ballot who I like just couldn't do it because it's just not enough for me. So I say using that as a minimum requirement, not as like something that's impressive.
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about. I'll go with my number two pick on the
Oh,
ballot
you
here.
so you guys both have Joe Mauer, right?
no.
Out of
Oh, you
10
didn't?
guys, 10 people, you didn't have Joe Mauer.
Let me go through the rest of my list.
That's
No,
insane.
we're gonna go.
Hear me out. When we
Career
get
throws 306 batting average, MVP, multiple gold
Okay.
gloves,
All
a
right, I'll go with
catcher. I can't. No way. He's a slam dunk in my opinion. He's a slam dunk first ballot Hall of Famer, best catcher of his generation.
wow.
you know what? I'm gonna second you, and so I'm putting it down on the official fourth true outcome ballot. We will get to your other takes though, Gordon.
One team his whole career. He's Mr. Twin. I mean, we talk about like how many Hall of Fame seasons does he have? He's got more. I mean, he's hitting 300 every year in his prime. I mean, 124 career OPS plus at catcher. I know he switched to first base at the end of his career, but he did plenty for me. I mean, peak was there, and we'll talk. I
He
mean,
was there.
and no, I like the
I'll go with
Buster
my number
Posey.
two. I think a player very similar to Joe Mauer, and who I think is for all of the same reasons, more or less, a slam dunk Hall of Famer. That's Chase Utley. I think he is in, and I don't think it's all that close. If I may pull up the numbers here, since integration, he is eighth among second basemen in WAR. He is top 10 in OPS plus. He is top 15 in defense. He is just a very, very well-rounded player. And at his peak, he's one of the 10 best players in the game. He's putting up, I mean, let's see here. Yeah, he's putting up 7+ WAR seasons, 5 years in a row. I think it's open and shut. Now, does he have the counting stats? No, because he only played for he was only a starter for 12 years. But in those 12 years, he played better than almost any other second baseman. And he was a pretty beloved guy. Mac
That's
from
as wow.
Always
Okay,
Sunny.
well, I need to stop you there.
Mac
He's a
from, you know,
very
Mac
hated
loved
player.
him. Mac had a very loving relationship with Chase
Attempted
Sutton. You
murder.
can't
I
take
Attempted
that
agree.
to
away
I'm with
from
kill
Mac.
Tejada.
Oh
Yeah.
my God,
Broke both
that's
of his
right. I
legs.
forgot about that. Oh,
People
wait a
You're
hate
minute.
not among
Chase
the Mets
Utley.
fans.
People
That was
hate that
bad.
guy.
That was a bad miss by me. I forgot
Yeah.
about that. I everything I said about him as a baseball player
He's kind of
stands.
a piece of shit. I
But
think,
he's friends with Mac.
yeah.
He's friends with Mac. I forgot about that. Oh
He
my
wrote him
God.
back too. That's
But
pretty.
there are
Definitely not
actual
likable.
bad. We will get to the actual bad people on this ballot, and
Yeah.
there are
Yeah.
a shocking
course.
number, frankly. But Chase Utley, dirty player for sure. Probably would lose a lot of respect for him. Yes, but an all-timer as a second baseman.
Okay, I will respond to this, and you can, because you started that the same way I started with Joe Mauer, and I thought you're insane if you don't think Joe Mauer is a Hall of Famer, and you can do that to me after this, but I did not have Chase Utley on my ballot,
Me neither.
and I'll get you put 10 people, and you'd have Joe Mauer or Chase Utley. Chase
Mhm.
Utley was like my fifth guy, and I cut him.
Wow.
So I think it's really, really close, and I think it's completely justified to vote for him. I understand the metrics too. You bring up 7 WAR second baseman for 5 straight years. It's impressive, but when I look at it,
Like MVP caliber.
I kind of need, but it's not MVP caliber because those years it's MVP 7, MVP 8, MVP 14, MVP 8. So I don't agree with that, and I think when you look at a Hall of Famer, the benchmark is do you have 7 Hall of Fame seasons? And the most I can get to with Chase Utley is 6. I just think he's just a just miss for me. And I don't really care about the WAR, 64 WAR. That's really impressive. And there's another infielder, Greg Nettles has 70 WAR. He's not in the Hall of Fame. I don't think I
He should be.
necessarily. Okay, well we can talk about that too. But I don't. And Chase Utley didn't even get 2,000 hits. He kind of flared out. And also the Joe Mauer, he kind of flared out a little bit too. But I value catcher a lot more than I value second base. And so I couldn't get there with him. But if I actually had a vote and he was at 60% and it was trending he's gonna get in, I would probably give him a vote.
Yeah, that's fair. I can accept that. I think I'm definitely more bullish on him than the average person, but yeah, I see where you're coming from.
I get the argument
If
where
you're
it's
yeah,
it's him and Cano as the best second baseman of that generation. It's just him and
yeah,
Cano.
and they're not going to let Cano in.
Yeah.
And so I think they should let Utley in just honestly on that alone. But moving on to
Yeah, hey. My number 2,
yeah,
A-Rod.
Wait, could you want to do steroids now? We can talk about this.
Yeah,
I mean,
because that
I'll
covers my number 3 too.
I think for the benefit of the show moving forward, because I have him later, we can edit this. I have him down there too, and I think that's a good thing to save toward the end. If
You
I
want to
don't
see it? I think we can just go into it now. I
Yep.
mean, there's a lot of steroid guys.
okay,
You
so just
want?
start. Yeah, say that again.
I mean, yeah, I gotta go with A-Rod at number 2, just because yeah, all the steroid controversy behind it, but I don't know if we're going off of what we think the general vote will be for them or what we think
No, we're doing our own
it'd be.
personal. It's
Yeah,
Yeah.
personal. It's personal.
So personally, I think just A-Rod, 111 WAR.
I mean, we know A-Rod.
Yeah,
We know.
exactly.
We get it.
I don't need to say anything
Yeah.
that. We know, and that's why I think he's number 2.
So I'll say I did not have
he's an
A-Rod
icon.
on mine. I did not. And the reason for that is I do think steroid users should be in the Hall of Fame because the Hall of Fame is a museum and it should be complete and the plaque room needs to be complete with the best players. That being said, Bonds and Clemens are off the ballot, and I don't want to. It would be so ridiculously silly for A-Rod to have a plaque and not Barry Bonds. And let's just wait for the steroids lost. Like it's over. The war is over. Bonds and Clemens are not in. The only way any steroid guys are getting in is the Veterans Committee sometime down the road, and I don't want to waste my time voting for guys like that for A-Rod.
Oh, really? I mean, what if it's just part of changing the whole conversation around them? I mean, yeah, it sucks that Bonds and Clemens didn't get in immediately, but it's not too late to change that with like future guys like the Bond or A-Rod, Manny, and everyone else like Pet.
But I think it could be too late because I mean, if you think like getting A-Rod in is going to somehow make the Veterans Committee vote for Bonds and Clemens, I don't think we can rely on like a couple of the guys in a Veterans Committee to do that.
I mean, I think it's just better late than, or not better late than never. What I'm trying to say is, I mean, yeah, better late than never in the sense of, yeah, start letting steroid guys get in the normal way. And because who knows, maybe the Veterans Committee won't let them in. You never know.
I think we
Go
have
ahead.
we kind of have let steroid guys get in. Um, David Ortiz was part of that 2003 anonymous poll, and they let him in. And frankly, I agree with that.
Oh yeah.
I think guys who were anonymously tested during a period when the game did not regulate steroid use at all shouldn't really be penalized. The league was turning a blind eye because they knew that it was driving up profits, and I don't think those guys need to get penalized. After that, and I think too, when Tatis got suspended, what was the general reaction to it? It was just kind of like, oh man, what do you come on, man?
It was shocking though, for sure.
Yeah.
That was a
It's
crazy
like
day.
that's just dumb. Like, and I think it's like we've moved past the moral outrage and into like I think everyone just wants to be over it. And I think if you did it when it was more or less endorsed by the league, then you can get in. It gets murkier if you got suspended after the fact when you knew better. And A-Rod really is the only guy that I think I make a serious exception for.
What about
Just
Manny?
because
Do you mind if I kick
well,
off?
Manny has something else that Bonds and Clemens also have is they all have if you want to vote and actually invoke the character clause, those are the guys to do it because they all have like domestic abuse and serious allegations against them. You can Google them. I don't really want to discuss it on the show, but it's there, and I'm just not going to vote for a guy who did that. I think that's the real like problem that like baseball kind of has and needs to get past. But A-Rod is just so good and he's just so representative of that era that as you said, it's a history museum. And if one guy is gonna get it, it should be him. And he's although I don't know if I want to reward his whole image rehab.
But like, isn't the one guy Barry Bonds though?
Yeah, wait. Bonds has to be the guy. But we're talking about this ballot though. I
I
mean,
think what you guys both said, I think is very logical. Both you guys said, um, personally, the way Joey, you said, I want to kind of just be done with it, and I agree with that. But I think the way I'm like, I'm done with this is I'm just not gonna vote for them because it's over. Like Bonds and Clemens are not Hall of Famers, and I don't. And with James, what you said, better late than never, and I think that makes a little bit of sense. But I just don't want to be in this weird spot where you have A-Rod with a plaque and not Bonds, and that would just bother me.
Well, I don't think A-Rod ever did anything. And I know that Bonds is not in the Hall of Fame because of steroids. I think that's a dumb reason to keep Bonds out of the Hall of Fame. But like he is also a domestic abuse guy. So I
Okay, we
think
can
it's
use.
that.
If you want to use like someone else, we can just say Sosa. Or
Sosa
Maguire.
too.
We can just use somebody else. There's plenty of guys we can say
Um,
Estebans. That would just
but
be
Rafael
silly.
Palmeiro.
Yeah, Palmeiro is a great one too. He was great.
He was great. But he was also just easy to forget in that era. And I think
Well, yeah,
people
his adjusted
willing
stats
to
won't be
cast him
impressive.
aside. But yeah, A-Rod, complicated as ever. I would consider voting for him, but it's certainly not a slam dunk. So I would like to move on now to my number 3
I would
pick.
also like to move on. I think we covered
Covered
steroids. Do
Yes.
we want to just skip Manny as well then? Are we done with
Yeah,
that?
Manny.
Because he's
Who else?
obviously a
Gary
Hall of Famer,
Sheffield.
but
I don't want to talk about him. Omar Vizquel, throw him in the trash.
well, I don't think he's a Hall of Famer anyway. I don't care what
Yeah.
he's doing.
Throw
off
him,
the
yeah,
field.
yeah. Yeah, he is a Hall of Famer if you are 63 years old. So my number 3 pick is another guy who I think is just outside of Adrian Beltre, probably the best at his like among the very best at his position ever. Billy Wagner is long overdue, and he needs to be in.
Yeah, he's one of my 4. He's one of my 4.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm already 3/4 of the way done with my ballot at this point.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing with Billy Wagner is like, I think we need more reliever representation, and Billy Wagner's career ERA plus is like 187. So like that's like
Yeah.
more than like
Beats
that's like
both.
way more than like Sparky Lyle and other
Outside
great
of outside of
relievers.
Mariano, he
Yeah, he's
has
really good.
he's
Like
probably the best one inning reliever ever, other than Mariano, and he needs to get in. Just across the board, highest strikeouts per 9 ever for a reliever, like second lowest ERA.
Is it really high strikeout per 9 ever? Like as of like end of his career? Because I'm sure like Chapman
Yeah.
is higher.
Well, he
but-
ended his career. He actually ended his career. He had the best season of his career, and then he retired at age 38. And he moved back to Southwest Virginia. He actually he threw lefty because he broke his arm multiple times in childhood, so he had to just learn how to throw as hard as he could lefty. And now he is a Hall of Famer. Another guy that I think kind of grouped in with Wagner because he's also about to get in. My number 4 pick, Todd Helton.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's my whole ballot. That's it. That's my 4th guy is Todd Helton.
Okay. So now we've gotten our 4.
Can we talk about Helton just a little bit quickly?
Godfather.
I mean, he just raked. I don't care about cores. He put up multiple just elite hitting, like a lot of elite hitting seasons. 2,500 hits is a lot of hits, and 300 over 300 home runs, 60 WAR. I do think he is like the minimum first baseman. Like he did just the minimum. If he did a little bit less, I think he's not really a Hall of Famer. I think he did just enough.
He's Paul Konerko if he didn't do that enough.
Yeah, basically. Paul Konerko, like Mark Teixeira would be like the next
Yeah.
tier down. I think a guy like Helton getting in is really big for a guy like Paul Goldschmidt. I think Paul Goldschmidt has a very similar profile in terms of home runs, hits, and I think where Paul Goldschmidt will end up will be very close spot. And I think Helton getting in will really be good for Goldschmidt and Votto too. I think Freeman is on another level than all those guys. I think Freeman will just soar in. But
definitely. I think ever since or when Larry Walker got in, like Todd Hilton was a lock. Or I mean, knock on wood. Hopefully, it makes
because the cores thing was a question for a while.
Yeah, Fred McGriff too. But this is a whole nother milestone because this is a guy who only played in cores.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and he was plenty good on the road. Everybody at cores gets worse on the road because they have to go to sea level. But yeah, he is a deserving Hall of Famer. And so that concludes the harmonious part of the video. We go. I think my number 5 pick might cause some a stir. I have Carlos Beltran.
Hey, same.
Hey. He's going on the ballot no matter what.
Yeah.
Thanks.
2 out of 3. Come on.
No, I can't. You know, when it comes to cheating in the game,
not as a player, Chill.
Carlos Beltran. You know, if Shoeless Joe Jackson and Pete Rose aren't in the Hall of Fame, then Carlos.
Oh
Beltran's
my
on the Hall of
God!
Fame for me.
We're being the change that we want to see in the world. Okay, that's what we're doing.
I don't care.
I agree.
I'm not letting that cheater in.
Look, the Yankees scored 0 runs in 32 innings off the 4 starting pitchers that the Astros threw in that series.
Okay, what about game 2 in Houston?
They
The Astros
didn't
won
hit.
2-1.
They didn't
They
score.
won 2-1. They
You don't
scored.
get to.
If
You
they
don't
scored
get
that
to.
one
You
run, if they
don't get to
scored one
complain when
run
you score
because of
one
cheating,
run.
if they
You
scored,
scored
we could have
order
won
in
that
the
game
court,
1-0.
order in
They
the court.
I don't
scored
care.
one
We could have
run.
won 1-0. We could have won that game 1-0. We don't know
Oh
if
my
those 2
God.
runs resulted in cheating.
Do you
From
think?
cheating.
Do you think they would just pitch a shutout if they weren't cheating? Like, come on.
Yes,
Come
fucking I do.
on.
I really
Oh my
do.
God. All
I
right.
don't care.
What they do
You-
pitching wise.
You know, and no. Don't give me this crap because they scored in game 2 as 2017
You
LCS.
know
They
what the
scored the
beauty of
second run in
democracy
extra
is?
innings. It was the 10th inning. So let's say we go
Is
full
that
9. Let's say they got that one
going to the
run,
ballot
one
anyway.
run because of sign
So,
stealing.
We're gonna
Then the
move
Yankees
on.
win that game to go to the World Series.
Can we go to our sixth?
No,
We're
I
gonna move on to
refuse to allow Beltron.
All right,
Gordon,
so
do you
I
have a name you
had
want to shout out? Do you have a name you want to say? We're not. Yeah, Beltron. It doesn't really matter. His numbers were good.
Put
His
him on,
numbers were
Joey.
fine. Gordon, what would you like to say next?
Oh, never, I was gonna say my sixth, but that was Todd Helton. So I don't know who's your sixth.
Well, my 6 was Joe Mauer, but we already talked
Oh,
about him. So I'll move on to my 7th. Bobby Abreu. Come on down.
Okay.
Ooh.
Hmm.
I couldn't get there with Bobby Abreu.
He's just consistency. He's excellent. Year after year.
A lot of
He's
guys
a
more
right fielder with a 128 OPS plus in his career and made the All-Star game twice.
Look at his on base. He's just there every year. He's just putting up extremely good numbers for like a year stretch. He's playing think about how many guys lose so much of their value just from not playing. And Abreu is there like a top 10 player. Like, yeah, he's never one of the handful of best players in the league. He also played in an era where he was really undervalued because a 395 on base guy. Like today, everybody would know how important that is. But then people hadn't even seen Moneyball yet. Like they didn't know about on base percentage.
I'm out on this one. I'm out. I'm super out. I'll let Chase Utley in way faster than Bobby Abreu. It's 128 OPS plus from an outfielder in this era too. I mean, I can't do it. I'm sorry.
I mean, I'm sorry. Look at this. He doesn't play less than 150 games from 1998 to 2011. That's 3 presidential administrations right there. He's putting up just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight all-star level seasons.
But they aren't all-star level seasons
player
because he wasn't an all-star.
Yeah.
Like also,
He-
we've
an all-star
spent how
two
long?
times.
We've spent a decade
Years.
like complaining. We've spent a decade talking about steroids, and now we just get to talk about actual good baseball players. And this guy was really good. I don't really see a reason why he would be like completely outside.
He's Hall
like
of
he
Very
has
good
60.
for me.
He's a Canerco to me.
He's out. He's too. We gotta have a
He's
line
much better
somewhere.
than Paul.
We gotta have a line somewhere.
At least Canerco hit 300.
Oh well, no. Well, I have 2 other.
He
I
didn't
have
even
2
hit
other
300 home
people.
runs.
Yeah, exactly.
So what?
This guy needs to hit the
He's an
wall.
outfielder in the
I'll find
steroid
something.
era.
I'll
Exactly.
find something. Okay.
Also 2 minutes.
Somebody else talk about their next guy, and I will be looking up some
Anybody have
Bobby
Andrew
Abreu
Jones
prospects.
on their ballot? Anyone
I
have
did.
Andrew Jones?
I
You
did.
did.
Yeah.
I think Joey touched on it. He's a
I know,
domestic abuser.
Yeah.
I didn't consider that, but
Me neither.
I just like people are like he's the best center fielder ever.
That's what I was gonna say. When
And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like I don't think he did enough. I don't think he's all that. And
Andrew Jones.
yeah, it's he has some good power years, and he fell off so fast, and he doesn't have 2,000 hits. He does have a lot of homers, and he's like really close too. I would probably go Chase Utley over him. To be fair, I would rather like Chase Utley would be my 5th guy. Andrew Jones would be my 6th guy. But he's also domestic violence accused, and so if he's already borderline, then
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
I was thinking, I was under the mindset of like, all right, I'm definitely going to pick 10 people. And now that I'm thinking it, I'm kind of thinking back like maybe I should have just kept it to like the best of the best. Because I mean, honestly, my
well, I
list doesn't get any
mean,
more exciting outside of the like 7 through 10, and 10th was just a joke. So
all my guys are Hall of Famers. You guys are hating, but I think everybody is special in their own way. You know,
except for
um,
Bobby Abreu,
so
he's not. But you know who is
since
special?
since the live ball era began in the regular season,
just cut him off completely. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Oh
I
my
am a man on a mission.
a vision of
Players with an on-base percentage above 390 for their career and at least 400 stolen bases. So we're talking on-base machines that when they get on base, they're a threat to go. We have Ricky Henderson. We have Barry Bonds. We have Joe Morgan, and we have Bobby Abreu.
You know
Nice
what that
cherry
sounds
pick
like?
That is
stat, man.
talent.
You know what that reminds me of? Uh, like keep talking. I gotta look something up because it's a picture. Um, quick, say
You
more.
nailed it here. You nailed
Say
it.
more. Say more. Bobby Abreu propaganda. Give me like. The 30
I think
seconds. Oh,
we're also
okay.
led
Here.
astray from him because the Phillies weren't good.
You ever seen this Thaddeus Young graphic?
You no, you're wrong. You're just wrong. You're just disrespecting him. I'm looking at the numbers. They're right here.
Oh,
The numbers are here,
numbers
and
too.
they're all making sense. They're adding up. That's what I'll say. They're adding up.
That
But this is all pointless because Bobby Abreu, as well as everybody else that we will discuss, for context for the listeners, will not make the Hall of Fame. They will not, this year. Most of them will likely not receive more than 20% of the vote, but there are people who are worth talking about and people who I think deserve to get in. And since I'm the one who seems to want the most people in the Hall of Fame, I'm just going to throw two names out there completely sincerely: Mark Burley and Andy
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes, those were my next two I was gonna say. I was gonna say before he cut me off.
Why do
Man.
you guys like these like garbage inning eaters, man?
Shut
Like,
the
what's
hell
going
up.
on?
All right,
Relax.
since you were going to say it, I apologize. You tell your side.
So I think they are practically mirror images of each other in just longevity, being very, very solid at what they did. Like both pretty much 3.8 ERA on the dot for like almost 20 years. And not to mention, I definitely know Burley was maybe, I mean, pitching defense is really that highly looked at, or people don't really care about it that much, I feel like. But Burley was top of the line when it came to defense as a pitcher. His gold gloves up the gazoo. And essentially, yeah, him and Pettit, I think, are the best two pitchers on this best two starting pitchers on this ballot. I think they both could arguably get a vote.
Yeah, you talk about workhorses, innings eaters, guys that are just. I mean, Garrett Cole and Aaron Nola are basically the only guys left that will throw innings like that. Mark Burley made his full season debut in 2001. He pitched 221 innings that season. For the next from 2001 to 2015, his entire career, he never pitched less than 198 innings in a season. He pitched more than 200 every season except one. And he was doing this with solid to very good results the entire time.
Exactly. And
And
no one was really more efficient in that time too, in terms of just time, because those games would be like an hour and a half or 2 hours. Like being able to shove for that long in each game and just get over with. I don't think many pitchers were better than him since 2000.
yeah, and
Yeah,
Very similar. He was a PED guy, but it was in the anonymous report, and he very famously owned up to it, testified before Congress and all that, did the Morgan Wallen style apology tour before it was cool,
It's just a little
and
bit GH, nothing crazy.
yeah. And yeah, he's pitching 200 plus innings a year. Not to mention he is the all-time leader in playoff wins.
Mhm.
He's just, I don't think that I'm not gonna like dock a guy for not having playoff success, but if they do, it helps, and he does.
Yeah. And hey, Burley had his shine too. He got the World Series in 2005, and I mean, on the grander scheme of things, he was part of the rotation that had 4 straight complete game shutouts in
Yeah,
the series. I mean, he's historic, very historic figure for pitching in the 2000s, definitely. And yeah, I think he could definitely belong in the Hall of Fame if people woke up, too many people sleeping.
I think people need to kind of because most of the like historic mythical pitchers
Mhm.
are very old at this point, and they come from a time when baseball was just played a lot differently, and what it meant to be a good pitcher was seen as a much different thing. And I think keeping up with the times and keeping people getting elected, because there's not going to be a lot of them after this year. There's not really going to be that many until like Greinke and Verlander and Scherzer and Kershaw hit the ballot. But
Right.
um,
And a point I want to make, sorry, I was looking something up because I was thinking of this. There was a pitcher that just made it into the Hall of Fame, albeit I believe through the Veterans Committee. I can't, yeah, I think it's through Veterans Committee, who has
Jim Cat.
no, who has a slightly, honestly, less of a profile than Burley and Pettit. I mean, it's very marginal, but Jack Morris.
they
Okay, well that
oh yeah,
was
Jack Morris is a much worse pitcher than either of
Yeah.
these two, and
And
by no means would either of these two guys be doing the Hall of Fame a disservice.
right.
They would fit in just fine. But
okay.
yeah,
Do you have something? Do you guys can I go now, or are you
yes.
guys still? If you have more to say, like by all means, I'm not trying to rush you, but I'm just asking.
Nah. Floor is yours.
Okay, so I absolutely disagree with most of everything you guys were just saying. So I'll get started with this is like debate club.
Mm.
I'll get started with the number 0, which is the number of combined Cy Young awards between Andy Pettitte and Mark Burley. Mark Burley only received Cy Young votes one season in his career. One time. Andy Pettitte actually has a lot more, to be fair. He has a Cy Young 2 in there. Look, I don't need these inning eaters guys like in the Hall of Fame. I think there's just much better pitchers out there, even from this era. I didn't really agree with what you're saying about how the representation wasn't here for this era. I mean, we have Messina and we have well, I guess not Kurt Schilling because he's other reasons, but we have, Maddox, Smoltz, Glavine. You got other guys from the same era. And we have, and you're saying we don't have mythical pitchers. I mean, we got 3 active players right now with 3 Cy Young awards. So I
Yeah,
just
but they're not like the like they're not like the greatest of the greatest pitchers of all time. Like the
well,
very
Kershaw is,
Kershaw is. He's like the
and
he's
Verlander is kind of too.
but like even Kershaw doesn't have like he's a great pitcher, but he doesn't have like the type of mythos that a guy like Walter Johnson does, or like Nolan Ryan, or
Well, it's because
like these
Walter Johnson's from
ghosts. That's
Oh,
the
this.
thing. We're chasing my
I
He's
think
from the
what
Greg.
I'm
inaugural
getting
class
at
of the Hall of
though.
Fame.
What I'm getting at though is I think we start to like chase ghosts as baseball fans. Like that is a problem. Like there's a certain clinging to the past, and the way pitchers, the way a great pitcher goes about his business in our minds is just not what it still is today.
There's
And
just no peak for
Burley is
these
the
two
last.
guys. They don't have peaks. They're just
But I
consistent.
think
They're just
consistently good
consistently
and for a
very good
long
for a
time.
long time. But I look, I your points are all valid. Your points are all completely valid, and I understand why Burley will get about 10% of the vote this year. But I am just a fan of more guys getting in the Hall of Fame. And I think that's where I come from in general.
I think I'm a
I
fan of
agree.
less guys. I think I have a smaller haul than you guys do for sure. I think putting a guy like Mark Burley in the Hall of Fame kind of really just brings standards down a lot, and I really wouldn't really like
I
that.
hate
Standards
it.
are already
Really
kind of
does.
low.
No,
It
but I think
really
that's what
doesn't.
makes it great. I mean, we're gonna get CC Sabathia in the Hall of Fame next year,
Yeah, he should be.
and I
I was
looked it up
looking.
because I wanted to like
I'm
compare
looking at all the
CC to Mark
guys.
Burley. Hold on, give me a sec. I looked up CC. He's ERA plus for his
I'm-
career is very similar to Burley's, but the difference is that the reason because of that is CC had some bad years at the beginning and end of his career when he was old and hurt. And CC had like a real peak of being a true ace and winning a Cy Young and being the guy. And Burley does not have that at all. If you look down his baseball reference
But
page.
it's not like the Hall of Best Seasons. It's the Hall of Best Careers.
But I don't think Burley had any best seasons to the Hall of Fame standard.
I think the Hall of Fame of career, not individual seasons.
But that's what a career is. It's a collection of individual seasons.
And he had a very great career overall.
I
So did
disagree.
CC.
Yeah, I don't really think we disagree on how good Mark Burley was. I think we kind of just disagree on
Standard
how
for the
Hall of Fame should recognize people. I just looking at he wouldn't. I don't think he would be meaningfully lowering the bar for starting pitchers. There's a lot worse than him. Let's see. Whitey Ford, John Sutton.
What did you just say? Whitey Ford as someone who's worse than Mark Burley?
I'm just looking at the Jaws leaderboard here. I'm just telling you what the numbers are telling me.
Wait, what numbers of Whitey Ford say is worse? Okay.
Wait,
Whitey Ford is a 2-time ERA champion. Like this is
the ERA is a
different.
whole run less than Burley.
yeah, it's anywho, we could talk about this all day.
Anyway,
that will be all of the guys. Unfortunately, because we are a democracy, we have a 7-person ballot here.
Oh, so we're doing a collective ballot? Okay.
Yeah, of Adrian Beltre, Joe Mauer, Billy Wagner, Todd Helton, Carlos Beltran, Mark Burley, and
No, you can't have Carlos Beltran.
you were outvoted.
No, you can pick one. You can pick Chase Utley or you can pick Beltran.
Beltran.
Utley. I don't want to argue. I don't want to.
You get one of those.
I'm not a parent. I don't have to
I'm
argue.
swallowing you
Oh my
guys.
god.
So wrapping.
Wait, I had one more mention. This is my joke
Ooh.
pick. James Shields. Just so I could say at least the Sox trade Tatis for a Hall of Famer.
Big game James.
Yeah, that's about it.
Big game James. How do we feel about David Wright? Do you want to talk about David Wright?
Yeah, I mean we can get into the guys that we didn't mention. First we can talk about the guys who are not first year guys. Actually no, David Wright is a first year guy.
Yeah.
He was very, very close to me. He was like he basically has the same numbers like big picture wise as Joe Mauer, but he does.
What?
Like
I think if he didn't,
he was roughly as good of a hitter. He was
No.
he was a good defender, but he was a third baseman and he fell off a little bit.
No, he got
Like
injured.
yeah,
He would have been a Hall of Famer if he didn't get injured. He just got
agreed with
injured.
that.
Yeah. And like his numbers, I'm looking at Mauer and Wright's numbers right next to each other. They're extremely similar. Mauer is 306, 388, 439.
Okay, but Mauer's doing it at catcher.
But Wright's still playing an excellent defensive third base too. Like he's still a star level player.
If you just go to their peaks and you just look at their peak years, Mauer's OPS plus is 139 in his peak years, what I would consider his like prime. And then Wright's is like 130, I think like 130 something as well. The difference is Joe Mauer played catcher and won an MVP.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. That's why I didn't vote for him. But outside of that, from 2005 to 2014, Wright is 299, 379, 493. 134 OPS plus, and he's let's see, yeah, he's a good defender. He's an average to decent defender all the way through. Hall of very good for sure.
Well, I think it's
let's
just sad because he was a Hall of Fame talent. He just got hurt at age 30.
yes,
Like
I
he
would.
would be a Hall of Famer if he didn't get hurt. 'Cause he's really, really good.
Let's see. From there, oh, some other people we haven't talked about. The only other person that we haven't mentioned who's been on the ballot for more than a year, but he's likely to fall off this year. Torrey Hunter, really he's just a Hall of very good guy.
Yeah.
Respect to him. Very fun player, but didn't quite get there. Bartolo Colon, they should send the bat that he hit the home run with off of James Shields. They should send that to the Hall of Fame.
It's all coming full circle.
They should,
Yeah.
exactly. They should be a package deal Hall of Fame, both on the same. Just a picture of Bartolo swinging on the plaque, and that's it.
Yeah.
What do we think about Francisco Rodriguez?
Oh, that's a good one.
He's also a TV guy. So
I think he's.
I didn't know that.
I don't know. I'll have to look at more than numbers, but I mean, surface level is pretty similar to Billy Wagner.
I had also compared the two. Big difference in career ERA plus though.
Yeah,
Both have
that's awesome.
400 saves, but big difference in career ERA plus.
yeah,
I
they're
think
just
it's a difference maker.
I'm sure Billy's got the strikeout numbers too.
yeah. Billy Wagner is just Wagner is like at the same level as Hoffman and Rivera and
Wow.
Raleigh Fingers and Goose Gossage. Like he's every bit as good as them. And so I think like we kind of have to let him in because we're gonna need to keep putting relievers in. But
I mean, K-Rod's the only one close to them.
he's just
Okay,
not.
let's just be clear. Mariano Rivera is better than Billy Wagner. Let's just.
Well, yeah, it's yes,
Be clear
everybody
about
knows
this.
it's Mariano and
What
then everybody
the
else. Like
heck?
that's not. But yeah, he would be an interesting case if he didn't have all the stuff too. Um, let's see, and then we head down to let's see, one, two, three, four guys who I think put up more Hall of Very Good type numbers, and all of these guys are pretty cool. Bartolo Colon, Matt Holliday, Adrian Gonzalez, and Jose Bautista.
I was waiting for Batista.
I think of all the guys, I think he's the guy who today is he's most proud to just be there. This is a guy who
good, man.
He was bounced around like 4 teams in 1 year. He just spent years being not very good, and then he just figured out how to hit, and he was just unstoppable. If he
pulled the ball,
pretty good, immaculate grid, honestly.
Oh yeah. Oh, outstanding. If he had started his peak earlier, he could have made a run at the Hall of Fame.
Like he didn't really take off till he was on the Blue Jays, really, and
yeah,
2010, man.
For like
for a while.
He was his good years were from 2010 to 2015. He was 268, 390, 555, good for a 156 OPS plus.
He was so good. He was so
just
good.
Yeah. And like the greatest bat flipper we've ever seen. All around. He had 54 homers in 2010, and then he got substantially better the next year. Just an all-time great, out of nowhere peak. Not a Hall of Famer, but
I wish.
He was
electric.
Perfect world.
Yeah.
He was electric.
Yeah, we got James Shields here.
Bing.
We have Jose Reyes, Victor Martinez, and I found it. We also have Jimmy Rollins, who. Yep, that's about right. And Brandon Phillips. He had a funny batting stance, and he got mad at Yadier Molina that one time.
That's all very.
Victor Martinez had some crazy years with the Tigers after they moved him off catcher.
Yeah.
Hit 335 1 year.
Well, What do we learn, guys?
Steroids are good, and we should keep them going. And Billy Wagner's a Hall of Famer, and Mark Burley's a Hall of Famer.
Bobby
Absolutely
Brave
not.
is a Hall of Famer.
I will say you got me riled up about the 2017 cheating scandal again. So
We got it. We got to get you some help for that, man. It's so done.
why
Is
can't
Beltron
you
in the room with you right now?
why can't you win a 1-0 game, Joey? Why not?
You
Why
can't
not?
expect to.
Well,
we
we
could probably
could have.
Hit better.